Welcome back to Today with Matt and Dave. I'm Matt Ricker.
And I'm Dave Horvath.
And we're back with some entertainment and the box office, as well as the Billboard Top 10. And again, if you have any comments, questions, anything, just tweet us or comment on our Facebook Live feed, and we will gladly answer them or talk about them. So, yeah.
Yeah, as Matt, I'm going to reiterate what Matt just says. You think we're dying horse, but again, if we want to start. That's something new we want to do this season, and unless you ask questions, we can't instill it, and we're trying, and we've had a little success with it. But the idea is we want to make it work. So
yeah,
please, if you have questions, comments, concerns, whatever you want to talk about, please comment it on our Facebook Lives, because we both go live as I am right now. So I guess until we get a comment, Matt, we're just gonna start off with the Billboard like we always do.
All right.
So our Billboard Top 10. We're gonna start with number 10. Number 10 is Paris by the Chainsmokers. Good song, not phenomenal, but it's a good song. It's not the best song they've had on the album, in my opinion, but still a good song. Number 9, now this is definitely one of my favorite songs, which is Portland by Drake featuring Quavo and Travis Scott. Great song. Really like the beat of that song. Matt, have you heard that one yet?
It sounds familiar. I think.
Yeah,
it's
a really catchy beat. It's like it almost sounds like a what are those called? Recorder.
Yeah, I may have. Yeah, I think because I listen to the radio a lot, so
Yeah.
I think I heard it.
Number 8, Passion Fruit by Drake. I'm not a big fan of this one. This one has 45 seconds of instrumental before it starts. I'm not a big fan of it. I think there's a lot more songs on the album that are better. More better is not the best English, but I still think Portland's better, KMT is better. There's just a bunch of other stuff on that album. But, I'm not the one who picks the top 10. Number 7, now this is definitely one of my favorite songs. It's not my favorite song on this list, which is Something Just Like This by the Chainsmokers and Coldplay. Awesome song. Love this song. I listen to it every day. I try to listen to it every day at least once. But the idea is I'm excited for that Chainsmokers album fully released, not just the few singles they have released from it. Number 6, Tunnel Vision, Kodak Black. Pretty good song there. Nothing super, it's not phenomenal, but it's not bad. Number 5, I Feel It Coming by The Weeknd featuring Daft Punk. Good song. Daft Punk and The Weeknd do pretty well. Daft Punk does well for themselves. Low key, you not realize it, but they do well. Number 4, Bad and Bougie, Migos featuring Lil Uzi Vert. Good song. Used to be bigger, a couple weeks ago, but it's still a good song.
Mm-hmm.
Migos has just churned out a lot of good stuff. Quavo, who's part of Migos, is also already on this list already with Drake for Portland. So he's doing very well. Of the three of them, he's probably doing the most successful, but it's still Migos is doing phenomenal. Number 3, I Don't Want to Live Forever, 50 Shades Darker by Zayn and Taylor Swift. Again, I've talked about this for weeks. Great song. Doesn't sound like Taylor Swift in my opinion, but very good song, very catchy song. Number 2, That's What I Like, Bruno Mars. Same as last week, number 2. And Bruno Mars, it's not a bad song. I'm not a super big Bruno Mars fan. I think he's talented, don't get me wrong. I'm just not into his music so much. And number 1, again, Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. Phenomenal song. I'm definitely a big fan of this. The number 1 song of this week of last year, Matt, is what?
Give me a hint.
It's Rihanna and Drake.
Is it Work?
It is Work. Hey, look at this. This has got to be like the 3rd time ever.
Yeah.
In 4 seasons that Matt's gotten the song right for the.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just one of those songs where you get sick of it.
I'll use it really quickly because it's also the same word said about 300 times in the song, so I can see why you get sick of it.
Yeah.
But, we're not here again to choose who's on the box office top 10. That's decided by people who, the entire world. So on to the box office. Now, this is, I'm going to tell you now, I was wrong. I'll take it. I was wrong. We talked about this last week, Matt, and I'm wrong with these numbers. I mean, not the 2 newcomers I'm wrong. The 3 there I was right. Kong Skull Island came in at number 5, $8.5 million, 41.5% drop. That's not a bad drop at all, honestly. 4 weeks in, the movie's at $147 million in the U.S. on a $185 million budget. It's pretty solid. Number 4, Power Rangers. Now, this dropped, 64.8%. That's expected. It was actually, I wouldn't have been surprised if it dropped like 71%. So, I mean, it wasn't as bad as a drop as I thought. But, it's a $64 million out of a $100 million budget. Let's see if it can make it to $100 million. I don't think it will. I think it'll make about $85 million, maybe $20 million more, maybe $25 million more. But we'll have to see where it ends up. Maybe it creeps at $100 million mark and breaks even with in the United States. Number 3, now this is a newcomer. This movie made well below expectations. This movie was expecting to make $35 million plus. This was Ghost in the Shell. Now, I've heard the reviews are phenomenal for it, but again, I guess it just didn't captivate people because it's one of those Japanese anime shows that made it to the big screen that people just weren't interested in. The one factor that would get you to go see it would have been Scarlett Johansson. That came in at $18.6 million. Now, the reason that's not a good number at all is because the movie cost $110 million to make. So if a movie came in at 35 or more, 30 million, we'd be fine. We'd be talking at, there's no concern. If it came in at $35-40 million, okay, it's already on its way to, let's make its budget. But it didn't. It didn't even make half of what Power Rangers made the opening weekend. So that's Paramount. That's gonna hurt. They had a hope that between China, Japan, not really, that it's going to make some money and hope that, China, it can make some money out of China and really make money outside the States, because in the States, it's not going to make that much. Number 2, this is what I thought was going to be number 1, not number 2, but this is Beauty and the Beast.
I was very surprised.
Exactly. It came at $45.42 million. Really another solid number, 49% drop, and this is week 3. The movie's made freaking $393 million in the United States alone. It's on its way to $1 billion, and it's funny because I mentioned last week that I read a thing about top 10 grossing films of 2017 predictions, and they said Beauty and the Beast would make $315 million in the United States total, and it's at 393, and this is as of Sunday. So we're not even counting the rest of this week where it's past $400 million, and it's still on that track that it's making a lot of money, and people still want to see it. And number 1, movie I did not expect to see this make this much. I thought maybe $30 million. I always said this is an animated film, so it'd make money just because of animation. It's a kid's film. I thought like $25 to $30 million. I was thinking almost like The Guardians, The Legend of the Guardians, which was that movie that was based on all the magical holiday characters like Santa, Easter Bunny, Sandman, things like that. But that didn't make so much. But it made its money, but it wasn't made crazy. But this movie proved me wrong. Boss Baby, $50.1 million. This is more than anyone projected. Professional predictors were predicting, about $35 million, and on the high end of what I thought. I thought it was gonna make less than that. I thought it was gonna make $25 million. I said, hey, listen, a kids film, $25 million. Animated films, you can almost bank it's gonna make some money because animation, kids, families. But there's really good reviews on this too. Now I don't know if for you guys. I mean, guess maybe because I understood the plot more last week and understood that it was being told from the perspective of the older brother, and that it's not like. It's not being told from the baby's perspective. It's the older brother's perspective. But a movie with Alec Baldwin playing a child, I did not find interesting at all. But, man, it's made its money. So, I mean, it's making money. $50 million is a great opening. Fantastic opening. Like I said, caught off guard. Going back to Ghost in the Shell, the money it made from the Thursday night showings predicted I was going to make at least $35 million. And they were wrong, because the Thursday night showings were in par with a couple other films that were made 35 plus. And I'm going to cut this short to say, Dad, hello. Matt, my dad says hello, so
hi,
back, Dad. That estimate this week was a little off, but we got some movies that are coming out, so we're going to run through these quick. This first one is Case of Christ, 1100 Theaters. It's actually based on a true events in history. It's a 1980 Lee Strobel's award-winning investigating reporting, earning his proclamation the legal editor of the Chicago Tribune. Things aren't going nearly as well. His wife Leslie, played by Erica Christensen, newfound faith in Christ, compels Lee to utilize his journalistic and legal training to try and disprove the claims of Christianity, putting his resolute against her growing faith. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't, so-so.
Too much. What's the next one?
All right, next one is Going in Style, playing in 3,000 plus theaters. Lifelong buddies Willie, who's being played by Morgan Freeman. Joe, being played by Michael Caine. And Albert, played by Alan Arkin, decide to buck retirement and step off into the straight and narrow when their pension funds become a corporate casualty, despite to pay the bills and come through for their loved ones. The three men risk it all by embarking on a daring adventure to knock off the very bank that absconded with their money.
It reminds me literally of a film that came out a few years ago. I'm blanking on the name of it. It starred Morgan Freeman. I'm pretty sure Michael Caine was in it. I think not De Niro was in it. Maybe it's De Niro. It's one of those, these guy actors have been around for years. They're kind of the, they're not the A-list. They're still A-list stars, but they're not doing what they once did. But they're the old guys in Hollywood that have been around, for 30, 40, 50 plus years. So it's funny when I see a film like this coming together when you take all these old stars that were big in the 70s and 80s when they were younger, and it's just funny. They'll be do decent. Next one, Smurf Lost Village. They just love making the Smurfs into films. That's all I can say. Best friend Smurfette played by Demi Lovato, Brandy played by Danny Pudi, and Clumsy played by Jack McBayer, and Hefty played by Joe Manganiello, which I think is hilarious. Seeing if you know who Joe Manganiello is, he played Flash Thompson in the original Spider-Man. He's playing Deathstroke in the new Batman film, whenever the heck that comes out, if that's even going to be a film, for all we know. Use a special map that guides them through the Forbidden Forest and enchanted wonderland that's filled with magical creatures. Their adventure leads them on a course to discover the biggest secret in Smurf history as they race against time against the easel wizard Gargamel, played by Ron Wilson, who's hilarious if you know The Office, to find a mysterious village. It's going to make its money just because it's another of those animated films, but, they just love the Smurfs. The last Smurfs didn't make too much money, so we'll have to see how this one does, and see if kind of animated Smurfs instead of an animated being in a real-world Smurfs, like the last two movies were. Let me see if this one makes money. Matt, what's the next one? This next one I've actually saw trailers for. It looks very good.
Next one is named Gifted, playing in 50 theaters, and Frank Adler, who's being played by Chris Evans, is a single man raising a child, and his spirited young niece, Mary, who's being played by McKenna Grace, in a coastal town in Florida. Frank's plans for the normal school life for Mary are foiled when the 7-year-old's mathematical abilities come to the attention of Frank's formidable mother, Evelyn, who's being played by Lindsay Duncan, whose plans for her granddaughter threaten to separate Frank and Mary. It sounds interesting.
I saw a trailer. Octavia Spencer's in it. I'm almost positive. I'm blanking on it. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's Octavia Spencer. Really, really cool, interesting film. People know Chris Evans from playing superheroes, and he always will do one of these serious roles where he's taking care of his child prodigy niece because his sister passed away, and the mom is a very controlling mother who wants to put her in boarding school and all this other stuff, and he's like, no, her mother wanted her to have a normal life, but she's a brilliant mathematician. Imagine the kind of mathematician from like Good Will Hunting, but as a 7-year-old. I think it looks pretty good. It's only 50 theaters though. It's going to come limited. Graduation 2 theaters after. This is just I'm not really sure what this is, but after an attack before college entry exam jeopardizes his daughter's future, Romero Aldea thinks up ways to solve the situation, but none of them follow principles he taught his daughter. Okay, 2 theaters. I have no idea what that means.
Next one is Mine, who's playing in 26 theaters, and it's left stranded after a mission goes awry. A U.S. soldier who's being played by Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer, most single-handed fight for the enemy while surviving in the desert. Only 26 theaters. So
it's a small film. I saw a trailer for it. I didn't think it looked good. He was stepping on a landmine. He can't move. And he's stuck in the desert. So I think this is weird. And finally, last thing, really quick. Their finest 4 theaters in 1940. A married woman, played by Gemma Alteron, and a screenwriter played by Sam Claflin, develop a growing attraction while working together on a propaganda film about the evacuation of Allied troops from Dunkirk, France. Interesting. 4 theaters, limited as we always said, but that is all we have for the time today. We're going to have to go, people. Thank you for tuning in. Any questions, comments, concerns, put them on the messages. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to hit us up on.
Yeah.
And we will not be back next week, sadly, because next week is break, but we will be back the following week. So, thank you again.
Also, Deacon Bob from my church says hello.
Hello, Deacon Bob. Nice to join.
And thank you all for listening in, and have a happy, blessed Easter. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. So until then, thanks for joining us, and have a good weekend.
Adios, people.